South Korea and North Korea. Do you know why Korea is divided into South and North Korea? It is the atmosphere that the North is abandoning its nuclear weapons, so peace is coming. Apart from that, why have the North and South divided and replaced each other for more than 60 years in a hostile relationship? Could it be that they were having a hard time with each other? I divided it into 3 big chapters until the North and South split. Chapter 1. Powerless One Korea. In 1910, after 36 years of Japan's forced occupation of Korea, Korea was dominated by Japan. At that time, Japan was dominating both the South and the North, just before the defeat in World War II. Then, on August 15, 1945, Japan declared unconditional surrender and Korea was liberated from Japan. Until then, Korean people were full of hope. In the future, we will be able to move away from external pressure and live together. But such hope was just hope. History is always in the hands of powerful people, like all history. At that time, Japan was defeated and was forced to leave the Korean peninsula. Based on the 38th parallel, the Korean peninsula was divided into North and South. In the North, the Soviet Union, which wanted to establish a socialist regime. In the South, the US wanted to establish a liberal regime. This was due to the geographical advantages of the Korean peninsula. As before and now, the Korean peninsula was a very important geographical point because there is a great power called China and Russia on the continent and a great power such as Japan and America on the ocean. That is why both the United States and the Soviet Union had ideological confrontations to put the Korean peninsula under their influence. Chapter 2. The colonies were liberated, but after the Korean peninsula was completely liberated from Japan, in December 1945, the United States, Britain, the Soviet Union, and China gathered to hold meetings. The theme of this meeting was to control the Korean peninsula in the name of trusteeship. Initially, both the South and the North voiced opposition. Now that you're out of control, you cannot regain control. However, a month later, in January 1946, the situation changed after Park Han-young, the representative of the Communist Party in the South, went to Pyongyang. Park Han-young will give his opinion in favor of the trusteeship, and all the progressive forces in the South will return to the position of favoring the trusteeship. In the end, the ideological confrontation deepens in the South. In the North, however, the situation was different. Kim Il-sung, supported by the Soviet Union, approved the trusteeship and pushed our liberal forces, such as Cho Man-sik, who opposed the trusteeship at this time. Then, in February 1946, Kim Il-sung established the Provisional People's Committee for North Korea, which will in effect serve as a government. Likewise, the South was also to form the South Korean National Representative Democracy Representative in February 1946. At that time, the North and the South broke off unofficially in fact. Chapter 3. People who dream of the future are weak. Since February 1946, the South and the North have virtually divided themselves independently. Nevertheless, in order to become a nation, people like Kim, Kyung-hun, and Grisik worked diligently. At this time, Korean people supported them in the United States, and they was moving forward to united Korea. However, in 1947, when the United States was turned into anti-communism based on the Truman Doctrine, the core member of the One Korea was assassinated by Yoon Hyung. In the meantime, the Korean peninsula has naturally assumed that a separate government should be established for both South and North Korea. Meanwhile, the issue of the Korean peninsula was transferred to the United Nations. In November 1947, the United Nations decided to hold elections at the same time. Until this time, Korean people was able to dream of one Korea. However, on July 19, 1947, Ryun-hun was assassinated and Ri Sung-man, who attended the end, insisted that the South alone would conduct the election. In addition to this, the opposition to the election by the Soviet rejection of the North led to the election of South Korea alone on May 10, 1948, just as Ri wanted, he will assume office as president. On September 9, 1948, the northern part of Korea launched a sovereign government. At that time, the North and the South split completely, and 2 years later, on June 25, 1950, the Korea War broke out.